I think I lost it.
Sorry, I didn't have a score.
Sorry.
You can do it again.
Okay. I think just first 2 pages is enough.
Yes, I just want to. I met Darius in Cuba, 2000 and, was it 2007 or 8?
I think 8.
2008, at a festival of electroacoustic music, and we both were performing our own pieces on the program, and that's how we met. And Darius wanted to play some more of my music, some of my music. He only heard one piece, and he wanted to play some of it, and then he asked me to write him a new piece for Birbyne and electronics. And the following year, it wasn't the following year, it was 2011, I was invited to work in the Alpha studio in Birbyne, Sweden, and that's where I made the electronic part for this piece. And then last year I finished the solo part. Well, I mean, in fact, there's absolutely no connection, but I'm making the connection. I'm very, as I was just saying already, I'm very interested in, and I love the music of South Africa, and this particular composer whose music this piece is based on, Tombeau de Moiseu Moerane, he is probably the most important black classical music composer in South Africa. He died about 30 years ago, and I've done a lot of research on him and his music, and I had an idea. I wanted to sort of pay a homage to him, and I had this, you know, when Darius talked about a piece, that's when I thought of bringing these two ideas together. A piece for Darius and a homage to Moerane. And I made, the tape is based on some of his choral music, some of his songs, and there's a lot of treatment of the sound. But there's an essence of the music still there, and so there's a kind of dialogue between the Birbyne and this composer. before I met Darius, we were staying in the same hotel, and I could hear somebody practicing. And this instrument sounded like no instrument I'd heard before. Or rather, it sounded like a lot of different instruments. Sometimes it sounded like a flute, sometimes it sounded like a trumpet, sometimes it sounded like a saxophone, and an oboe, and I was really intrigued when I discovered, when we met finally, that it all came from this one instrument, from the Birbyne. And I had previously, in fact, had written music for 18th century clarinets, which also don't have keys, like the Birbyne. So that was an interesting point about it, that it has greater flexibility. But I think probably what drew me most to this was actually the player. You know, when you compose for somebody, it's not just the instrument; it's also the person, the personality and the character of the person. And I really liked Darius very much, and we got on very well. And so I thought this could be a good working relationship, and it has been. I think it's a bit like a tailor. That's my comparison. A tailor who makes a suit, you know, and you have a fitting, and then he adjusts it, and then you have another fitting, and then he adjusts a few more things. And I like to work with a musician like that. Otherwise, if you know, you just write a piece, it doesn't. It's not sort of very close. It's not a close-fitting piece, and it's not peculiar to the person you're writing it for. Now, obviously, you hope that other people will play it eventually as well, and there are lots of good Birbyne players. So, you know, hopefully, other people will play it in the future. But the person that you work with is the person who kind of stamps his authority on it, or her authority. And that's really the first performance, or the first recording of a piece, is very important, because that's the one that establishes the character and the personality of the piece.